Well, here we are. We're doing Behavior 3. I have subtitled this lesson, Some Specific Behaviors. You'll see which ones they are. Again, behavior is a deep well. You need to study it a lot if you're interested in it. A couple things I want to say again is like in Behavior 1 and 2, I know I did, a shout out to Dr. Lucier. I learned all my animal behavior from him. And so a lot of these ideas come from him, not solely though. And the other thing I want to say is I am not offering any behavioral advice for specific pets because, man, you need a professional if something is serious to look at all the possibilities. It's such a complex field that all I can do with these lessons is introduce these topics, really. And the other thing I can do is show cute pictures. If you're a dog lover like of course I'm a pet lover too, so dogs, cats, whatever. Here's a couple guys, obviously a rabbit and a puppy, and who knows, maybe they're going to play. They're buddies. Dogs always aren't predators of rabbits. I live out in the country, and I hate to say it, but my dogs are predators of rabbits. We have wild rabbits that come through, and it's, I guess, almost like a fixed action pattern. Rabbit runs and the dog chases. Most of the time, the rabbits are not caught, thankfully. So, let's talk about separation anxiety. I guess it's best known in dogs. I'm sure it happens in cats and probably horses as well. I don't know. I know I've had many students that have had dogs with separation anxiety. The definition: destructive behavior when left alone, basically. I'm going to show you some pictures of destructive behavior. On one level, it's kind of comical. That's a very superficial level, but it's not funny because the dog is stressed and there's destruction, and unfortunately, it's probably a big reason why dogs are surrendered and given up for adoption by somebody else, unfortunately. Excuse me. I don't have much experience with separation anxiety. All my dogs are basically farm dogs, and we always have more than one dog. And so sometimes when I leave, they don't even care because there's other animals to interact with. But that being said, I know a lot of people have trouble with dogs with separation anxiety. I'll show you some pictures meant to be funny, but it's still sad. Okay, so so I guess I'm trying to show you the characteristics of dogs with separation anxiety. Here's obviously a couch tore up. And that's one thing about behavior. You can't say, okay, this is a definite sign of separation anxiety in a dog. Probably, but you know what? If there's a mouse in the couch, this would be the same scene. So that's why sometimes you need a professional or look at all the avenues. There's a lot of great dog behavior professionals out there. Okay, I'll put that right up there. Here's another one. Oh, cool, you're here. You're never going to believe, you're never going to guess what happened. Okay, well, the dog is about ready to escape, and if there's a road nearby, it could get hit on the road, so obviously this is not a funny situation. This dog needs some help. You would say it's separation anxiety, probably, but remember, get professional help. Here's another one. I thought you were gone forever, so I kind of freaked out. Yeah, These pets, these companion animals, are our buddies. And if you're gone, they may think you're never going to come back. So, yeah, a lot of destruction, but you know, that dog needs help. This one is good also, kind of comical, but remember, serious, deeper, serious meaning. Good, you're home. The couch exploded. Yeah. So we've all known people that have had pets, dogs, I guess I should say, with separation anxiety. It can be destructive for the furniture and whatever, but the dog can get hurt. The dog can escape. If you have a serious problem, you need some professional help. I'm just introducing the topic. Okay, like to talk about vacuum activity. You might call it vacuum behavior, I guess. The definition of this: activity is performed, or you could say behavior is performed, for no apparent reason. And what that means is there's an absence of the stimuli, or you could say external stimuli, known as the releaser for this behavior. It's often fixed action patterns. You can go back to a previous lesson, FAPs. And remember, sometimes people call them MAPs, modal action patterns. Got a couple examples. Sometimes you can't always find these things with animals, our pets, but you know, birds are pets, I guess. So if you had a bird in a cage and it was pecking at imagined insects, like, you know, it imagined insects flying around and was pecking at them, that would be an example of a vacuum activity. Another one that I've seen an example is if you have some animal in a cage, like a squirrel, and it's going to bury an imagined nut. That's another example of a vacuum activity. When animals exhibit these vacuum activities, that's a sign of a lower level of well-being, because that is not normal, right? A bird normally pecks at flying insects, but if it's pecking at imagined insects, most people would say that's an indication of a lower level of well-being for that animal. Okay, here we are. We're going to talk about stereotypy. That's singular. Stereotypies. I've also seen it spelled this way, but not sure if that's very good. But the point is, stereotypies right there. Definition: repetitive behaviors in captive animals. Now, if you go to any zoo, you probably see some of these, and I'll tell you one example I saw. And then, of course, captive animals might be, you might think of they're only wild animals, but no, horses are a great example too of having stereotypies. Well, one idea is that there's inadequate mental stimulation of these animals, and I guess that's another way of saying they're bored to tears, and then they develop these repetitive behaviors. Okay, and so I have an example from the San Diego Zoo. It's a wonderful zoo, probably as good as a zoo can ever get. Of course, some people are very anti-zoo because why would you put that beautiful zebra or lion or bear in that small cage when out in the wild or the natural it would have hundreds of acres to roam? I won't get into that, but when I was at the San Diego Zoo, I saw, I think it was a big brown bear exhibiting a stereotypy. What it would do is it would walk up along the edge of its enclosure that was kind of wet too. I think there was some water running someplace, or his water tub was overflowing or something. But anyway, he would walk up this incline and then he would slide down to the other end where he started walking. He would slide down. I mean, like basically almost ski down this slope. It maybe had a 10-15% slope. He would slide down it, walk back up to the other end, the high end of the incline, slide down. And the only reason he was able to slide down was there was some water present. And that's a stereotypy for that guy. The repetitive behavior, he did it, so many times when I was there. Of course, yeah, anyway. So horses, one of our companion animals that we're talking about, have stereotypies. And this guy in the picture, I say guy, I'm not sure if it's a guy or a girl actually, is displaying cribbing. And cribbing is where an animal will kind of bite down on wood in this case, could be metal, and then kind of suck air in. It's called cribbing. And so I have this visual that talks about classic stereotypies, and notice how they spelled it, my middle spelling there, right? Stereotypies, that's what they did right here, see? Stereotypies, thoroughbred racehorses. Some people call them stable vices, but then other people don't like to call it stable vices. You kind of decide on your own. For us, stereotypies are stable vices in a broad sense. Cribbing, that's what this animal is doing, kind of biting down on a piece of wood or part of his pen and then sucking in wood. Weaving, when they're walking, stall walking around and around. You can kind of see what percent of the stallions. Of course, a stallion is a male horse that has its testicles. Geldings are male horses that do not have their testicles. They've been castrated. And then mares. And you can see that, these horses had 4% of them were cribbing, another 4 were weaving, and stall walking. You can see, I'm not sure if there's I guess maybe you could say geldings do less of that. One idea is that to decrease the stereotypies, if you do environmental enrichment for any animal we're talking about, could be the bear, could be a horse, could be a dog, it's thought that they do these things because they lack mental stimulation, as I said already before. Let's talk about conflict behaviors. Again, I'm going to use dogs as an example. These are stress-induced behavioral changes. So they really show that the dog is stressed, and then obviously this is not good for the well-being of the dog when it shows these kind of behaviors, and usually they're displayed when escape or avoidance is not possible. So if the dog could escape from the situation, it probably wouldn't show what I'm going to give you a couple examples. Okay, here's a dog kind of showing its teeth and probably growling, the one on the left. And the black dog on the right probably just ran up. The dog on the left now I'm saying, couldn't avoid this situation. So it's going to growl, bare its teeth. And this is a conflict behavior. This could also happen when the dog doesn't like a certain person. Could be even a family member. When that family member gets close, maybe the dog growls or bares its teeth. It's showing conflict behavior. Got to have some professional help you with that. One of the things most professionals would tell you is punishment at this time is not going to really be indicated. It's going to be contraindicated. Here's another conflict behavior not induced by a person. Here's the dog on the left, of course. This is a goat. And the tail is very much tucked up underneath the body. And it gets to the point about reading your pet's body language, which is a whole nother subject. And again, we could have 50 lessons on animal behavior and we would just scratch the surface. But I have a dog that does this when it sees snakes. We're walking, she does, I don't know, it's something about the smell of the snake. It's just something big unknown. She tucks her tail way up underneath her body, showing, I guess I would say, a beautiful conflict behavior. Obviously, she's stressed. I've had other dogs that would see a snake and then would go and chew them up, and obviously not sure exactly how Bella developed this conflict behavior with snakes, but she doesn't like them, and she displays a beautiful conflict behavior when she sees a snake. Sees/smells a snake. Finally, I'd like to just make a comment about body language. Some people, would say, okay, our pets cannot talk, but if you know their body language, that's how they talk to us and other animals, of course. And so I'm going to show you some cat, dog, and horse body language. But again, we could spend days on this. And if you really wanted to study it, you would study each species separately and have some actual images and drawings. I think what I've got is basically drawings. And for example, the cat. Man, that tail tells you a lot. Overjoyed. We have a cat, Cheddar, and it likes to do this and probably this behavior, friendly, and then when it walks by you, Cheddar's very good at looping that tail around your leg as it walks by. Anyway, the tail of a cat can tell you a lot. Look at, there's that tucked in tail, usually means scared. And then of course the eyes and ears down here tell you a lot. Friendly, relaxed, attentive. So it's body language for sure. So that's cats. Again, if you wanted to see that more time, you can pause this whole thing. Here's dog. Here's a Boston Terrier showing you. I'm going to try to enlarge it as much as I can. Dogs that are very good at giving body language, like here, the famous play bow, B-O-W, right? Hey, I want to play with you. All kinds of things. Stressed. All kinds of things about stressed. Alert. Look at those ears. Definitely angry. Averting the stare. When they look away, that gives you respect or peace. That doesn't mean I want to interact with you or fight you. I just like, okay. Yeah. If you stare a big dog in the eyes, that's like challenging them. You don't want to do that. Okay, so that's dog. Again, you can pause it. Horses, I've got one that shows the ears more than anything because the whole body actually is telling you something in each of these animals. But in horses, the ears. Okay, forward. Interested in what's going on. I'm curious. Kind of listening to the rider. That's kind of, the ears are very, able to be directed. Okay, this is alarmed. Maybe nervous about what's going on. Down here, when those ears go back against the neck, top of the neck here, that's always a bad sign. So, pause these as you want. Try to enlarge them so you can read them. They're very good, but again, it takes many hours to learn the body language of the animal you're working with, but it can tell you a lot about their status, whether they're sick or not, whether they're in pain or not. If you're really a good pet owner, you know the body language and the behavior of your favorite animal, and it can tell you a lot. So they do speak to us in a sense. And finally, here's the list of those beautiful illustrations. See you next time.